This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 BB babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Yeah.
Charmander. Or you're more of a Charmeleon guy.
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what
Schlecht?
it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me for an emergency pod here at 11:15 Central Standard Time is Alex Speers and the L-Man here to break down the Thunder's 128-126 win. My wife predicted it. My wife predicted that the Thunder would win by 2. We always do like family predictions.
Wow. Give her the belt.
Give
her the belt.
We went around the horn and she was like, I think they win by 2. I was like, that sounds stressful. Well, it was. That was honestly, if you were just a regular old basketball fan, let's say that you were watching the game and you're a Heat fan or you're a fan of the Grizzlies or something, like that was an amazing basketball game. Like that was just a great game where you had two teams just going back and forth, and they were, the Wolves would close it down to like 2 or 3, and they tied it at one point, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? And the Thunder continuously push back, punch back, and this is an amazing stat found by good friend and colleague Esper Heaney, who said SGA, J-Dub, and Chet combined for 95 points tonight. It's the most points ever for an OKC trio in a playoff game.
Wow, that's good.
This was in 2011 in the triple overtime game against the Grizzlies.
Oh, wow.
Westbrook, they dropped 94 points combined. So like that, and this wasn't even in overtime.
Wow.
That is really impressive, because like a lot of times we talk about how great this trio is and how great this team is and all of that, and there's just statistically sometimes it's hard to back up. Like that was the best game that I've ever seen. Those 3 play, regular season, playoffs, whatever. The amount of shots that all 3 of them made down the stretch, they were just kind of taking turns, and they all just continued to answer the call. It was unbelievable.
Wow, man, that stat is genuinely shocking.
That's great. I know. When he said that, I just did the NBA Daily Pod with them, and S was like looking it up as we're like sitting and prepping, and I was like, "Is that true? Like, is that actually true?" That is it's
like I wouldn't have been shocked if like Katie and Russ had done that at some point, like just themselves. Like if Katie had like a 50-point game and Russ had a 40-point game.
Yeah, exactly.
That is wild. Yeah, they were all so good. I'm going to start with Chet, because Chet was huge in this game. And the thing I loved from Chet in this game was how aggressive he was. And you saw it the most on his offensive rebounds.
Yes.
Every single time he got an offensive rebound, never once looked to pass it back out to the perimeter, immediately went back to the hoop.
Yep.
Every single time. He was so aggressive that entire game. And he had some beautiful takes to the rim too. I mean, we've seen, obviously like Chet's thing is that we're still waiting for his offensive game to fully develop. And you'll see sometimes he's prone to turnovers because he's got the high dribble and it looks like he's trying to do too much sometimes. But man, when it all comes together, like it did on a few plays tonight, just massive. The putback dunk was huge. Like just every single time they hit a big shot, OKC answered. And it was usually one of those 3. It wasn't unlike the Wolves, where it was like literally every bench player was going off on us and driving me insane. It was the big 3 every single time when OKC was answering. Oh, Andrew Vaughn, folks.
Interesting things are happening to Andrew internetically over there. Dude, that was awesome though. The I just love because the J-Dub haters reared their heads back in the Denver
They sure
series, and they were ready. They were ready to go after him. And Andrew, welcome back.
Hey,
back, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, I was saying the J-Dub haters had the knives ready back in the Nuggets series, and it's just after a game like this where he steps up and he is hitting huge shot after huge shot. That one where Shea kind of everyone came down on him and he passed out from between the guy's legs to J-Dub for him to hit the
Somehow
three.
held his pivot foot too.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Was it travel?
Wolves fans wanted to travel. Yeah.
But it was
that was a huge three. Like that was a huge moment where they needed him. They needed him to hit that shot. They needed Chet to hit the three he did down the stretch. And then Shea was just surgical. When you look at his Shea's box score, he's 13 of 30. It's like, man, I just don't even remember that many misses from him.
I know. I felt that way too.
Just thing went in down the stretch for him.
It felt like a mix of game 1 and game 2, where game 2 you had like the crazy mid-range display.
Yeah.
They were really messing with Gobert. We saw that again tonight. And then from game 1, them just completely shutting down Ant. Like that first half against Ant, it's been a while since I've seen like a player who I hold in like very high regard, like a genuine star player, get shut down to that extent. His first shot in the game, I looked up, came with 34 seconds left in the first quarter. He did not take another shot until like 6 minutes left in the second quarter. And then after that, it wasn't until like 3 minutes left. I think he ended up with 3 shot attempts in that first half. Got to the line once. Andrew's gone again.
Oh,
but the defense they played on Ant, they were doubling him a ton. And you saw like the downside of that. I mean, they were getting some wide open corner threes. I think they hit 11 of 18 on corner threes.
Yeah, that was terrifying. And the thing is that in order to survive that, our big three really had to show up and do it and realize that no one else is going to do it for them. I think that this is one of the type of games that this team last year doesn't win. And
probably not, just because you really did need everyone stepping up. I mean, the bench was like fine, probably not good in general, but to go up against a team whose bench is as hot as their bench was. I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 23 points. Dante DiVincenzo, 21 points. Even Naz Reid having 11. Terrence Shannon Jr. off the bench with 9. Like just dominated. Yeah. OKC's entire bench scored 27 points in that game. And to survive that on a night when you're in their building. So like you knew at some point they were going to start hitting a lot of threes. And that obviously happened in game 3, but that was like such a blowout. Is like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This was like a close game. And if you go back and look at the team stats, it is wild to look at what Minnesota beat OKC in. So they had more points in the paint. Minnesota had more fast break points. OKC allowed more points off of turnovers than Minnesota, even though they caused 23 turnovers. For Minnesota, they only got 22 points out of that, whereas Minnesota got 25 points off of OKC's 14 turnovers. They had more assists. They beat them on the boards. Although we should talk about the offensive rebounding coming up. They, shot slightly better from all of free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, and field goal percentage. Like this game was incredibly close. And it was because Minnesota did a lot of things right, but and honestly, hitting 11 of 18 from the corners was like absurd. And I think now that you go back home, you expect those role players from Minnesota to not do that, which they haven't been doing most of the series. Hi, Andrew. Andrew's back again.
Hey, welcome back.
Very clear. Andrew, I just listed off all the categories that Minnesota bested the Thunder in, because it's like almost every stat.
It honestly, they were a good Ant or a good Julius Randle game away from winning that game. is what they were. They literally got everything else that you would want. Their bench was amazing. Their role players made shots. They rebounded well. They defended really well. Like, that was a really, really good game by them.
Yeah.
But the fact is that, like, the Thunder guys, like, their best players combined for 95, and the two best players on the Wolves combined for 21. And, like, that's the game. That's the whole game.
But I mean, even then, like they still almost survived that. Like I think it was the offensive rebounds, because I mean, frankly, we just haven't seen OKC rebound on the offensive boards like that. Andrew's frozen again.
It's so fun watching him.
19 offensive rebounds, which is tied for the third highest total they've had this entire season. And I always talk about on Cleaning the Glass, they break down half court offense into half court offense and then basically like put back offense. And in general, like OKC over the season, it's never red. Okay. It's never red. It's always blue because they're not getting a lot of plays per miss. This game, like, they were dominant. They were dominant because they were not just getting offensive rebounds. They were converting those offensive rebounds consistently.
Hey, welcome back.
I'm like the Julius Randle of this pod right now. I'm just like barely present.
A lot of turnovers.
Do
you know how many second chance points OKC had? This is not, I don't have the answer. I'm just wondering because it felt like,
find it real quick,
compared to what we've seen from this team this season, like that was an exceptional performance in terms of second chance points.
Yeah, they had 22.
Okay, and I have no context for that, but that sounds good.
Yeah, to the Thunder's
high.
Yeah. I mean, this was quite a performance by both teams, honestly. This was really impressive. An impressive showing from both teams. I thought that as Ant started picking up his play in the second half, I thought, this might slip away, honestly. Because that third quarter, once they cut it to 4, because the Thunder were up 8, they cut it to 4. I thought, I'm so interested to see how they respond. And as someone who was really big during that stretch was Cason Wallace, because at the time I think Dort had 4 fouls and they kind of pull him, and it was just kind of a weird stretch where everything was just up in the air. We're just like, okay, what's going to happen? Where are they going to get their points from? And I thought that he was really good defensively, offensively. It was big. The passing from this team I thought was really good. The passing from Minnesota was great. They had 30 assists tonight. They had 30.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd. Thunder had 22, which is pretty good. But like the Thunder won this game in a way that they've won a lot of basketball games this year, and that they won the possession battle. I mean, it's just like sometimes it's just shots on goal. And like that's what won them this game, because both teams shot incredibly from 3. 18 of 41 for the Wolves and 16 of 37 for the Thunder. Like, that's great. But the Thunder had 95 shots on goal to the Wolves 84. And like I believe that's what won them the game, honestly. They had the steals. They turned them over 21 times. Those were very important stats for them because they were clicking. Like, so much was going well for them. They shot 28 free throws in this game. That's a lot. Against a foul merchant team, that's a lot of free throws. I just thought that the Wolves played so well, and the Thunder just were the more poised team down the stretch, and they were the team that made shots when they really, really needed them. And it just felt like the Wolves were playing catch up a lot to them, and it nearly worked. The Thunder only won by 2 points. Some of that was just like the way they played the foul game down the stretch of that one, which made everybody extremely nervous. Now it's like all about like Shea hitting these free throws, and he missed one of them, which put them up 3, and then like you're fouling up 3, and you're only taking like just like these fractions of a second off, and then at the very end of the game, a fan catches the ball.
That's so wild.
You're like, okay, now what happens? Because they put 0.2 of a second back on the clock, which gives them 0.3, which is the lowest amount of time that you can have where you can still get a shot off. And you're like, if something happens And they got that much time put back on. How do you even calculate? Like, okay, like the fan interference, like he stepped in to catch the ball. Like the ball should just be able to just freely hit the floor. And then like how much time is left? I don't even know how they calculated that it was 0.3 left, honestly.
I on the replays, I thought they were going to give them 0.6.
It looked like 0.6 when the
I thought so too.
ball. And do they like, well, wait, 0.3 because of the fan? Like what is even happening? Like it was just a ludicrous time because they had initially calculated 0.1, which is like you shouldn't do anything. I don't know. That was just a very, very weird.
Well, it's also weird because like how often does Shea make that pass? Like he could have just thrown it literally anywhere, but I don't know. I don't know what happened that it angled. I mean, because he was down there in that quarter, he could just throw it to the opposite corner.
I know.
The game would have been over.
I know.
But luckily, that was the worst lob throw we've ever seen at the end of the game. So
it was. It was.
Right when it left his hands, I was like, "Oh, J-Dub's got that. This game's over. It's great." Like,
dude, we haven't talked about Dub yet, have we? Or maybe you have because I've been in and out of this. But Dub was incredible in this game
from like minute one.
Yes,
he was incredible
from the jump. Defensively, offensively, he was ready to go. He had 34, 3 and 5 with 3 steals, 2 turnovers. He was 13 of 24 and 6 of 9 from 3. Only 2 free throws. He went 2 of 2, but he was almost flawless in this game. I thought that was one of the best J-Dub games I've ever seen.
I just think it's important that we give him his flowers because people were so mad at him after the Nuggets game.
That's rude.
We've got to, all those people that were, kicking him when he was down, give him his props, his E props today because he was really, really good.
He was good.
He just keeps putting up some really nice games. Like he is adding to his collection of good playoff games in really big moments. Like Game 4, the difference between going home 3-1 versus 2-2, massive.
Huge.
And for him to come out from the jump, opens with the 3. I'm pretty sure he scored their next point. And he was just automatic again. Like I felt as comfortable tonight with him with the ball as when Shea had the ball.
Yeah.
When he would start taking a guy one-on-one, I would be like, I don't know what he's about to do, but I'm feeling really good about it. Actually, I know what he's usually going to take a midi. But I just felt really good about Dub tonight. It just looked like he was on from the jump. Like even his threes, like the way he was hit, it was like swishing every single one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's just on tonight. Which what a game to have that version of Dub on the road.
In the series against the Wolves, he's 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals a game. That's what you want. And then for Chet, Chet in the series is 17 points per game on 50% or 55% from the field, 5.8 boards, 2 assists, and 1 block a game. Chet has been really good too. Like that trio, like this is what you want to see. And you're getting just enough from everybody else. You're getting just enough from Caruso. You're getting just enough from Hartenstein. You're getting just enough from Dort. Dort was good tonight too. It was tremendous. Case of Wallace. Even Isaiah Joe, showed some life tonight on the road, which I was a little surprised they went back to him. But he had a nice little stretch there where he only played 8 minutes, but he scored 5 points.
Yeah, and 1.
Just enough.
Free throw, but
yeah.
Honestly, the only person I know earlier I said OKC's bench wasn't great, but now that I'm looking at it, they actually did. They had like a normal night. It's just that Minnesota's bench went nuclear.
Yeah.
Like the only player I would say that didn't have a great night, like I don't think Hartenstein had a great night. He played his fewest minutes of the playoffs. Only played 16 minutes tonight. And they were even talking about in the broadcast in that first half where he was catching the ball and just like not even looking at the basket.
Yeah.
Which we've seen him be more aggressive with his floater throughout these playoffs.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem like he was interested in that. He only ends up taking 1 shot that he did make. And then Dort didn't have a big offensive game, but what he did on Ant was just what the whole team did on Ant. But obviously, Dort is the head of that monster. Like, they just dominated him, especially in that first half.
Yeah. Yeah, Ant was brutal in this one. 16 points on 13 shots, 1 of 7 from 3, 6 assists, 5 turnovers. It just was. I mean, that is not, and it was the Thunder like taking him out of it. It wasn't. I mean, Ant tried. I really believe that he tried to get himself going, but he could not. He could not against this team. And I thought Nikhil was their best player. He hit some ridiculous shots tonight. There were some like in transition where he's like Euro stepping and just like throwing up just some junk. Where you're just like, there's no way that's going in. Like usually those shots will just hit back rim and out, and it's going the other way. But it felt like he made everything tonight. You know, he was hitting his threes. He was getting to his spots. I thought he was incredible. And I think that if you're a Minnesota fan, you've got to be like so sick to your stomach that you got everything you did from everybody else and you're not getting it. Got, very little from Ant and from Randall. I mean, that was just a ridiculous.
And also knowing that you might lose Nikhil this summer, just like insult to injury, because he's really good.
Somebody should pay him. Like
somebody should pay him
the Nets. Like go pay him. Let him, see what he can do.
I would just be shocked if they were able to keep Naz Reid and Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah, they're gonna have to choose.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to
I thought McDaniels was great, dude. That defensive play he had, where it was a 2-on-1 fast break.
Yes,
J-Dub goes behind the back. I forget who was the. Was it Kaysen? I forget who it was.
Let me see if I can find it.
But McDaniels basically forces Dub to make that pass and then is able to recover and block the shot.
I don't know how he did that. I have no idea how he did that.
He was great offensively too. He scored 22 points in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there was so much good for the Wolves in this game. I mean, both teams. It was just a really high level playoff game.
Yeah, it was Kaysen and Dub. He like guarded them both perfectly.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah, man.
We just really haven't had I don't know have we had a playoff game like this yet where both teams are just kind of clicking? Obviously the Stars from Minnesota, didn't do stuff, but
Denver game 5.
Denver game 5, yeah.
I'd say. But as far as like shot making goes, like throughout the entire game, this felt like a very back and forth, like both teams have it going.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had a ton of those games against Denver because there was just so many times that were just like Thunder were in the mud, except for game 2 and game 7. It's when the Thunder were really able to execute. But this was a high level game, and like both teams were kind of doing what they wanted to do in a lot of ways, especially the Thunder. I feel like they just welcome this defense from the Wolves, where they can mismatch hunt. They can, find ways to get Shea in his spots. I thought that was very impressive. Ian Dalius in the Lans Dalius, is that an I or an L? Lans Dalius as the point differential. He gives a super chat, by the way, is now a +1 OKC in this series, which is feels very strange, and it's all because of the 40-point loss, which, by the way, like it was really good to see them respond. I didn't know how they would respond after losing by that much. I thought they would play. I thought they would play well, but like as far as like a feel for what's going to happen, I thought Minnesota would win game 3. And I thought the Thunder would win this game just like before game 3 happened. I thought it would be Thunder. They're going to split in Minnesota. Wolves will win 3. Thunder will win 4. But after they lose by that much, I was like, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in this one.
I had someone ask me, like, what do you think what's going to happen? I said, I honestly, like, what's the significance of game 3? I was like, I won't know until game 4. Like, how could you possibly know? Because if they had come out and laid another egg, like then I would have just looked at the entire series differently, obviously. And like, man, Minnesota really did figure something out in game 3. Mm-hmm. But now that game just looks like a total aberration, which is kind of what we thought coming out of it. But we just weren't sure. Like you needed to see it. And especially having to do it on the road again. Yeah. It's like if they had lost a close game in game 3 and then got blown out in game 4, then you're coming home. Well, at least you're coming home. But for them to come out this way on the road and just have kind of like a lights out performance, I mean, there's been a few games this postseason that have made me like really believe in this team, and this is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Like obviously the Denver games, game 4 and game 5, the way they closed those games, those were the first time where I really felt like, okay, those are like legitimate playoff wins. Like you can't take anything away from those wins, and this one's right up there with those 2 wins.
Yeah. It's so interesting because, game 3, the Thunder lost by a whole lot, by 40. And it doesn't matter. We're up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
It does not matter what the type of win or what it is. They got one over us. Fine. The Thunder stepped up. Fine. The Thunder stepped up when it mattered and won a game that, we've seen them lose this type of game before, and I think they've just learned from it. This is, they're getting the playoff experience that everyone says they've not had, and so this win feels great.
Well, it's the kind of win where, like, when the game ends, you're like, however that had gone, like, the better team was going to win that game.
Yes.
Because it was just so even.
Yeah.
And eventually it's just going to come down to who's the better team. And like I really feel like the Thunder showed over the course of that entire game, but especially down there in the fourth quarter, like they're just a better team than Minnesota. And Minnesota is a really good team, but OKC is just at a slightly different level than them.
Yeah. And I think that we all kind of knew this too. It's just whenever you get to the playoffs, there are just like these equalizers that happen, and some of it is like experience. Like, have you been here before, kind of thing. And the Thunder just haven't, and they haven't been able to like gain that experience until they've been there. And like I think this is one of those games. I even think losing by as many as they did, I think is part of that too. It's funny, like people just like pass the stat around about like no one's ever gone to the NBA final or won the NBA finals and lost by that many or whatever. What's funny about that is the Celtics literally lost by 38 before they won game 5, which won them the NBA finals. So it's just like
Well, it's one of those things, like I'm pretty sure a year ago you could have said no team's ever lost by 38 and won the NBA finals.
Yes.
So like you have to keep changing it.
Yeah.
Law had some good stats from this game. One was that Alex Caruso played the most amount of minutes he's played in any game this season tonight. It is his first 30-minute playoff game since 2022 with the Bulls. He played 30 minutes only once in the regular season, which I actually didn't realize that. And he has more games of 25-plus minutes this postseason, 6, than he did in the entire regular season.
Oh, my gosh.
Like the way they have managed him.
Yeah.
Like somebody should get an award just for that.
Honestly,
there should, at this point in the NBA 2025, there should be a load management award.
Load management award.
Yeah. And they should get it.
That goes to the Thunder for how they handle Caruso. He's a game high +8 in this one. His defense was essential because he defended Ant at times. I think he was a huge part of why Randall just was horrible in this one.
Yeah.
He guarded everybody, and then he was like in the dunker spot and had like some big time moments where he's scoring down there. I mean, he effectively played center for them at different points in the game where they basically had J-Dub as their biggest guy.
He's a gamer.
You had Caruso as like the low man at times, and he was very good. He was very, very good in this one.
And I think you've also realized over the course of this playoffs, like how important his leadership is on this team.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you see it multiple times per game, I feel like now.
Yeah.
Where you'll see him like being the one to speak up when like either when they're going on a run or when they're getting down, like pumping the guys up. It just seems like he's playing like a very important role that I don't think we even recognized that we needed that aspect last summer.
Yeah. I mean,
because we would have said like, oh, well, Kenrich is the veteran, like Kenrich kind of plays that role, which is true. But when you have a guy who's playing 30 minutes a game, it's just different.
Yeah. And a guy who's had the experience because like Kenrich hadn't been there.
Yeah, that's true.
In the first playoff games of his career alongside all these guys.
Yeah.
To bring in a guy who's had that experience. I mean, he's won a championship with LeBron James. Like there's not much better experience out there than that. And the guy that, I mean, it is wild because like you started hearing about how Caruso can kind of defend big wings. He could defend a lot of different players. But I don't think that we would have thought going into this if like we did a playoff preview in April and we're like, listen, I think that Alex Caruso is going to defend, Jokic and, Julius Randle better than anybody else could in the Western Conference.
Well, in the regular season, it always felt out of necessity because I remember like when Cleaning the Glass had him categorized as a big for like the first half of the season. But it was just because, like Chet would be out. And then Hartenstein couldn't play the entire time, or he would be out. J. Will was out. And so it's just like, I guess that's just what they have to do.
I know.
And then it turns out that is like kind of been their secret weapon for this entire playoff run.
Without a doubt. He's been very good for them. And he and Kaysen are so essential to what they're doing. They just don't win this game without those two. Kaysen was awesome in his 28 minutes. He was a plus minus 0, but I thought he was so good. He had 2 steals, he had 3 assists, he finished with 7 points. He just made play after play when he's in there where he's just making a positive impact. He had 3 offensive rebounds that just felt huge. Any of those plays that he made just felt massive. Anything you're doing positive in this one just felt really big just because you needed to have this like quick punch back because the Wolves weren't going away and the Thunder weren't going away. And it just came down to like, who's making enough shots down the stretch of this one? Because the Wolves outscored the Thunder in the fourth quarter and they played well. And it just so happened that like the Thunder just made the right plays at the right time, down the stretch. I frankly just think that part of it was that they just could not get Ant free at the end of the game, which I think that was like the biggest thing because you look at OKC and what they were able to do down the stretch of that one. Like they were able to get shots from J-Dub. I think with 121 left, J-Dub hit the 3 that put them up 123 to 116. And that was just a huge, huge bucket. And the Thunder didn't get another make from the field for the rest of the game. It was just free throws from Shea down the stretch of that one as like Minnesota just like creeped back into it. We don't have to talk more about fouling up 3, but it was just a nail biter. And what didn't seem like it was going to be after Dub hit that, I felt like after Dub hit that shot, it's like, oh man, that's huge for them. Like you're up 7, like you got this. But like Nikhil hit a layup, Jaden McDaniels hit a 3 from the corner, which like the corners were just lit on fire there from Minnesota tonight. Gobert hit that, got the put back. They executed well. The Wolves did to like get this down, and luckily Shea hit enough free throws to win it.
Another stat from Law. So over the course of this regular season, NBA teams averaged 17.2 non-paint 2-pointers. Okay. So 2-pointers, just not in the paint. OKC averaged 19 made non-paint 2-pointers. Tonight, the Thunder were 27 of 53 on non-paint 2-pointers, basically in the mid-range. And it's funny because these two teams both shot really good in what is considered like the long mid-range. Yeah. Minnesota shot 67% from there. Wow. OKC shot 62%. Wow. But Minnesota took 3 shots from that range. And OKC, just in long mid-range shots, were 8 of 13. Like the quote-unquote worst shot in the game, they were 8 of 13 on that. And that really is like one of the stories of this team. Because in terms of like the meta narrative of the NBA, because going back to like the Steph Warriors, the Harden Rockets, like the whole Morey ball thing, they got like blown out of proportion where everyone thought like, you just can't shoot mid range, you shouldn't do it. But then everyone came around to like, okay, well, certain guys should be allowed to shoot mid range, just like Kevin Durant. Yeah. But this team having 2 guys who are really good in the mid range, like it just kind of breaks. It breaks the game. Yeah, it does. In terms of how the NBA has been played over this last decade. Like you just have to defend it differently. And we've seen how hard it is for someone like Rudy Gobert to like figure out like how far do I need to step up on these different plays. Tonight it was more like him stepping up to the 3-point line, because there were a few times when like Shea got him in 1-on-1 and then would just shoot a 3 over him. But yeah, their ability to get to their spots in the mid range when they're cooking, I mean, it's like it feels like you have like two Kobe's on the court, like that you just have like two guys who can just they can get to their spots whenever they want in the mid range, turn around, hit a shot, and it looks like perfect every time. When they're both clicking, they feel unstoppable.
Yeah, and that's the defense that Minnesota plays. It's like that's what they leave open.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? That's what most teams would want to play.
What most very good defenses do is that they, protect the rim and they keep you from taking threes. And the Thunder are like, okay, we'll take that.
And the result is that like a lot of those mid-range shots end up looking like kind of easy shots.
Yes,
for the Thunder.
Yes, they're able to
which is why they feel automatic, because oftentimes they get a lot. They're able to generate plenty of space that they need in the mid range, and they get those shots up, and it's just like, well, that was a good shot. Like, I know that's what you want us to take, but that's a good shot for this team.
It's like one man to beat. Either it's open because you're coming off a screen, or it's one man to beat, and both those guys feel very comfortable, just like pulling up, over somebody or turn around or whatever it is. Like, yeah, I mean, it was a ridiculous display of shot making tonight by both those guys. Like that, they look like superstars. There's been times in the regular season where J-Dub looks like a superstar, but he looked like a superstar tonight on the biggest stage. The Thunder are one win away from going to the NBA Finals. They're one win.
Now we got to be careful, because we all
good.
know what the last time they were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Okay.
Yes.
So don't count your chickens before they're hatched.
We don't need to count them. The circumstances are very different.
It's true. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are not on the other side.
They're very, very different. The Warriors had Game 5 at home.
That's true.
Which the Thunder have Game 5. The Thunder have Game 5 at home. The Thunder are the team that should win the series. The Warriors were the team that should have won the series.
Yeah.
Like there's just there's obviously a lot of differences now.
But still, don't go counting them chickens.
But still,
don't do it.
Don't you dare count those
Don't
chickens.
do it. Reconsider.
Alex and I will do another pod on Wednesday, but we just had to talk to you guys tonight. We just had to. It's just
and
it's too good. It's too good.
I mean, I know we're not counting chickens, but I was a little worried with the Game 3 Knicks Pacers. Like, man, are the Pacers going to get out of this series in 4? Like,
dude, I know.
I'm so pumped that the Knicks won. I really hope they win Game
wild
4,
series.
just because I really enjoyed that series.
It's so wild.
I would just like to see more. I would love to see a Game 5 in MSG where it's tied 2-2. That would be
they're like the most evenly matched teams I've ever seen play. The whole game, it's within 3 points. It feels like.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
They've been very fun games.
Yeah,
they have been very, very fun. I would love New York to come out of it.
I still can't believe the Pacers won that Game 1. Like that is still like the most improbable win of the playoffs. There are a ton of improbable wins. Like this has been such a fun playoffs in general.
Oh, the Thunder coming back from 30 down. That was improbable.
Yeah.
Against the Grizzlies.
Yeah. That was crazy. Ja went out, which kind of like spurred all of that on. They didn't have anybody that could create anything. But yeah, that was crazy. We got some super chats. Alan Castro in the chat says, tired of the booing and free throw and stuff. No class. The booing is weird, right?
No, that's all fair. That's fun.
Yeah, let him boo.
You should boo.
Let
you
him
should
boo.
That's weird.
The foul merchant or the free throw merchant stuff is stupid. I don't know why they are talking about it on the broadcast.
Dude, Doris is
she's losing us. She's lost us.
Yeah.
Brad Christie in the chat saying Doris needs to take off her Wolves jersey. I mean, it's man, it is crazy. She's embarrassing herself because I got talking to people that are not Thunder fans, throughout the night. And like people say, like, yeah, she's just not even like good at her job anymore. Like this is just really bad. Like she is like reading Twitter for advice how to be a color commentator. Like this is
I just feel like you can't bring that kind of I mean, it's like a meme essentially.
Yeah.
And you're introducing it into the actual game itself. Like you can talk about his free throw shooting, you can talk about his foul baiting, but I just feel like by saying free throw merchant, you're just like introducing something that shouldn't be a part of the actual game. That should only be a part of like extracurricular, like online brain activity.
It's I mean, the color commentators have such a heavy like burden on them to like talk to people about the way that you want the game to be viewed by the country. And like you get to help push narratives one way or the other. And the fact that she's chosen to do this is really, really pathetic.
And clearly they didn't tell her to not say that after game 1 because she, said it. Tonight
and
as
maybe they at this point, like they only want the attention, but I think it is embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah.
For ESPN. I think they've done a very bad job.
And honestly, for the free throw merchant stuff, like I'm of the belief that like if it's a Wolves fan, I don't really care. Like, dude, if we were playing Jalen Brunson, I would be complaining about his foul baiting. I'm just going to let you know that.
No question.
It's more just like everyone else. Like we're involved in a really like competitive series. Like Wolves fans can do whatever they want. Like I don't care. Like I like that kind of animosity. Like if you want to have signs, I think that's all great. Like that's all part of it.
Yeah,
it's just like
fans
everything.
If the fans want to do it, who cares? Like I really do not care. I have Wolves fans in my mentions every single day talking about how much they hate Shea and what an idiot I am and everything. I don't care about any of that. I don't give a rip about any of that. What I do care about is Doris Burke telling everybody that he's a free throw merchant. And here's the reason why he's called a free throw merchant, which is insane. It is insane that she's doing that. Anyways, we don't have to talk about it.
You know what's worse though?
What?
Did you see what Naz Reid wore to the game?
No.
He wore a shirt with Charles Manson on it. Known killer. I mean, is he a fan of his music? Why is he wearing Charles Manson on his shirt? And it didn't have like an X through it. It was just his face.
Him?
I guess.
It's weird. That is super
Isn't that weird.
Super duper weird. Do you think he even knows the context of what he's wearing?
I don't know. I just thought it was very strange to like. It's not like there's a lot up for debate with Charles Manson. Like,
no,
the story's kind of the story. And
there's
again,
documentaries.
Maybe he's a fan of his music because I know he has released some music while he was in prison. But I just thought that was so bizarre. Very weird choice.
That is extremely weird. I'm so glad that we beat that team tonight. That is a weird one. Zach Weiner says, Jub. Shea with the sick 5-hole pass. As a Canadian, respect. That was a ridiculous pass. That was crazy. Did the dam break for J-Dub from Michael Bush? Giving us
if it did break, they're gonna cruise. Like if you got anything close to that level of J-Dub going forward,
he was so good, and he was calm and collected even after the game where they lost by a ton, and even before the game, he got the interview and you listen to him talk, and he's like, "Yeah, it's like we flushed that one. We learned a couple things, we flushed it. We'll be fine." And you just like wonder about how like casual he was about it. But it was very clear from the jump that he was ready to demolish that Wolves team.
And we didn't even mention Shea, career high in the playoffs tonight. 40 points.
Career high in the playoffs.
49 and 10. Almost had a 40-point triple-double.
Man.
That would have been pretty cool because he does not get triple-doubles.
No, he does not. A 40-point triple-double. Even a 49 and 10 in the playoffs is crazy. Like that is MVP stuff.
Oh, for sure. And you start going back through his game logs for these playoffs. And obviously there's some stinkers in there, like the game 3 against the Wolves and game 1 against the Grizzlies. But like really outside of those two games, even the game when he scored 18 in game 3 against Denver, he was 18, 13, and 7. Like he was doing other stuff. But
Yeah.
outside of that, like, I mean, his last couple games, 31, 32, 35 in game 7, 31 game 1, 38 game 2, stinker game 3, and then 40 in game 4. I mean, he is I mean, we're talking in that Grizzlies series, like, when are we going to see? It was really just after those first 2 games, but like,
Yeah.
or first 3 games. When are we going to see MVP Shea? When's he going to show up? And basically, starting that closeout game against Memphis, where he shot 60%, scored 38 points, he has just been kind of on a tear, and he has been MVP Shea. All the talk about like, oh, he's not going to get the calls. It's gone from he's not going to get the calls in the playoffs to we're going to make him getting the calls in the playoffs the biggest story for these playoffs.
God, Doris better not be calling the finals. Like if the Thunder get
who
there,
the finals?
ABC.
ABC. Yeah, give it. Let's see Reggie. In this case, I'll take Reggie.
Yeah, it'll be.
And honestly, tonight, other thing I want.
It's the same crew that we got tonight is calling the finals. So
it is okay.
Congratulations. She better like. Well, maybe she just needs to stop with like she can do a good job. We've heard her do a good job before. Just like you don't have to do you can talk about him like even if you want to say grifting, like I don't care. Like the free throw merchants, like it's just a bridge too far. Nick Bossy gives us a super chat. He says, Doris Burke, more like boring jerk.
Oh,
your face, Doris. Your face.
Well, the other thing, kind of along that same point, like one of the other things I loved about this game was outside of maybe like 2 calls, this wasn't really a big like ref game.
No, it was not. Especially in the second half, it was not.
Yeah, and like Shea ends up with 14 free throws, but I'm pretty sure he had 8 going into the final when they started doing the intentional fouling. So like it wasn't like he was getting to the line at will the way we saw in games 1 and 2. And so I liked that because it just, again, it kind of went back to this idea of like, this is an evenly matched game. May the best team win.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a lot of stuff you can point to afterwards and be like, oh my God, they missed this thing. They missed this thing. And then there was that thing that happened.
Yeah.
Like, there weren't a lot of controversies in this game. It was pretty straightforward, just good basketball.
Well, the Thunder didn't take a free throw in the third quarter at all.
Which is messed up. They should do that.
Yeah, they honestly
please get to the line more.
Be free throw merchants and try to get there because that would be helpful to you. Yeah, I mean this was not a game decided by officiating. It was decided by the best team winning, which was very cool to see. Daniel Finney said that I think Doris Burke thought free throw merchant was a compliment.
Well, merchant. I'm thinking of like old timey. I play some of these old role playing games. You go to the merchant, he sells you some wares. So maybe she thought it was a positive.
Sure,
possible.
Sure. Yeah, that's what was happening. Okay, we will have our regular scheduled Wednesday pod still. This is just a little emergency pod for everybody. Appreciate everybody that joined us. We have a ton of people that are live with us right now. If you would please like the video right now and leave a comment about your thoughts about Doris Burke on the actual YouTube. Like, just let us know. Let us know what you think. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. This is just a joy. What a joy it is to cover this team and to watch it. I watched the game, with my family, with my 2 older boys, and even my youngest son watched till halftime. But it is like one of like the joys of my life right now to like watch games with my kids. It is like the greatest thing. And so I know a ton of people are just having a blast watching this basketball team right now. And I just feel really grateful, man. I just think this is what you want. Like, this is what the Thunder have been building for and have wanted. And now they're 1 win away from the NBA Finals, which just feels crazy to say, but here we are.
And I can remember Game 6, Western Conference Finals, 2012.
Yeah,
went to a bar to watch with a couple friends, including Dusty. Shout out Dusty.
Dusty.
And they were, that was the game where like they were down big at half, and so we actually left the bar because we were like, well, they're not gonna.
Yeah, I remember
this is it. We went back to my house. And then of course by the end we're like dancing. And I love the idea that there are, young kids, kids in college who are getting to experience this
Yes.
for mostly the first time. Like a lot of times you might have been like really young when that first run happened, but getting a run to call your own that you're like locked in with, like that's the best feeling.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. Game 5 in OKC Wednesday night. I'll be there. I'll have Down to Dunk stickers with me. So come find me. I'm usually sitting at the bottom of 108 is where I've been for the series. So come find me at the bottom of 108. Would love to give you a Down to Dunk sticker. Would love to meet all the dunkers out there. So come say what's up. And we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.